city of Johannesburg last week announced that it set aside a budget of a whopping 54.8 billion rand, which will be allocated to basic services, public safety, the improvement of roads and other infrastructure, amongst other priorities. They also said they're very proud of what they've achieved over the years in transforming Johannesburg into a smarter city.
MEC of Finance, Mr. Jeffrey Makubo, has finally released the highly anticipated budget speech for the current year up until 2017, leaving a whole lot of people with mixed emotions, painting a very bittersweet financial plan and year for Joburg residences and their future. For the 2016-2017 financial year, the city's budget is standing at 54.8 billion rands, with a strong emphasis on the development of roads and infrastructure to promote social cohesion.
We have delivered cash of 4.9 billion in 2014-15, which is 6 times what it was in 2010-2011, and consistently kept high cash balances averaging 5 billion per year over the last 3 years. We delivered capital expenditure that is more than tripled from 3.2 billion in 2011-2012 to a record 10.1 billion in 2014-2015, making us the highest capital spender, sub-national capital spender after KwaZulu-Natal. The city has increased spending on capital expenditure and infrastructure, and has paid this infrastructure from our own sources, which contributed 30% to total expenditure in 2015. Strong cash balances have helped the city fund larger part of the capex, minimizing city's exposure in increasing the debt burden. Finally, we are recognized as having a strong revenue growth that's supported by a broad tax base. So Joburg, the city of Johannesburg, Motsepa, is the largest South African city in terms of budget size. No one comes near.
And while some news regarding Johannesburg's financial situation was applauded, other political parties had this to say.
If you really look at one thing that they fail to really understand, government is not about self-praising. Government is about service to communities. It's about service to civil society. What we've listened to, it's about just really boasting. When this country's economy is suffering, when unemployment is getting out of hand.
We call it a people's plan, a people's budget, precisely to ensure that it talks to the people, it talks to the need of the people. Community-based planning, community-based budgeting. There's no point in sitting in offices and think what the people want. We go to the people and say, what do you want? But you must understand that development is iterative. You go to school, when you finish school, you want a car. You want a job, you want a car, you want a house. So every time you want to be better than yesterday. And we are alive to that fact that development is not finite. So as we allocate, we deal with the bare minimum, but we know that the bare minimum is not enough. Then we have to go back. But you can't do it in 1 year. We need to sequence it over time.
I'm Riley Sakane-Posakwe for Joburg Today.
Like us on Facebook, joburgtoday.tv, and follow us on Twitter at Joburg Today. Architects designed the buildings and spaces in the city over the ages. Joburg Today found out more about some ideas on Johannesburg's architectural future.
Buildings and spaces are just structures and places in which we live, work and play, right? Not so according to architects. These constructions and spaces can apparently influence how we live, work and play. Joburg Today found out more about the future of architecture in the city. Candidate architect Victor Mukaba represented South Africa internationally as a student and is also a beneficiary of the scholarship program of one of South Africa's largest architectural firms.
In a city like Johannesburg, which is fast growing, you get a lot of different people from all walks of life with doing different things within the city. So we need architects to read the people, to read the urban environment and provide quality architecture which responds directly to it.
The Joburg architectural scene is a very mixed bag. The city is huge. The downtown part of Johannesburg is particularly despoilt, but it's a wonderful canvas. It's a fantastic opportunity for young architects to get stuck in, actually rehabilitate what is actually the most amazing stock. We're very determined to create places for people, where people live, eat, work, play. And I think that's the challenge for young architects, to actually try and live that out and actually create environments for people.
Any good young architect coming out of university needs to have those ideals. And in Johannesburg, I find the young people have a lot of energy. It's a high energy city. It's a very complex society. I find they energize me. They want to correct the world, which is good.
Victor believes two main trends will influence Johannesburg's architecture in future.
Firstly, adaptive reuse. There is quite a lot of urban sprawl which is happening, leaving the city, or rather the buildings within the city, empty and without use. And we can combat that by giving the buildings new functions. And then we need to bring people back into the city, which needs a more formalized form of integrated public transport.
We live in cities that were designed decades ago under a different regime. And the integration of society, mixed use, people living closer to their work, having more affordable housing within the economic hubs is something that's very important. I think young architects are very idealistic about that. So they've got a big job to do over the next 10 years.
We try to encourage that idealism and encourage that effort, but also give them a practical kind of grounding that virtually everything that you're doing all have commercial reality, and nothing can happen unless you get the financial aspects right, and you actually temper good design with practical doability.
We need to, as architects, actively engage with the people. It needs to be the process in order to come up with practical and lasting, but most importantly, efficient solutions.
For many regular Joburgers, architecture may not be quite alive, but it seems to the professionals the impact on the living is of the essence. Marisa de Klerk, Joburg Today.
My name is Shane the Duke Wellington, also known as MC Dookie in the house, and you're watching Joburg Today.
And that brings us to the end of the show. For more coverage on the city, check out our playlist. And that's it from me, Nashina. Have a good one.